set it off. Go to Vegas, bet it all. Put it on the Bucs win, whoever they gon' play gon' fall. Don't say I ain't told y'all. Loose cannons gon' fold y'all. Yeah, the Heat be 9-3, but it gets real cold in the fall. That's when the season start. Bucs come in 40 hard. Win after win, ripping the division apart. Panthers, they pussycats. Falcons got bird flu. Take the Ravens and Dolphins and open up a zoo. Cause one thing's for sure, better than the Bucs, they show lane. And every day in Tampa Bay, we say fuck the Saints. We in Tampa Bay, baby. 813 going crazy. Tampa, boy. This Bucs podcast be the greatest. Loose cannons.
What is up, Bucs Nation? It is Monday, July 14th, 2025, and you're watching the Loose Cannons podcast. I am your boy, the Samar Ali, hanging out with the pale, barefoot, kinda homeless one, Stank Bastard, and of course, special guest tonight of Fox Sports, covering the NFL, the one, the only Greg Auman. And before we dive in, Greg, I want to remind everybody to please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and of course, check us out after the show on our amazing new website, loosecannonslive.com, where you can find this episode and every other episode in both audio and video formats, as well as a link to our free and our paid version of our amazing Bucs community Discord. Check that out after the show, and don't forget to leave us a comment as well. Greg, before Bucs camp could even start, and before anything could even happen, according to some fans, all hope has been dashed. All dreams have been shattered. Everything in Bucs land is no longer going to be amazing. However, you are Greg Auman, and you know best. You know how to keep a level head. You've been here before. So, a couple of days ago, the news comes out that Tristan Wirfs has some knee soreness. They go in there. They take a look around. They find out they got some other things going on in there, and they want to take care of it. And the reports coming out are kind of, they're iffy. They're weird. First it comes out, he's going to miss a couple of games, maybe 1 game, 3 games. Now he's going to be on the PUP list, which means 4 games if I'm not mistaken. What is actually happening? And has he actually hit the PUP list yet? And could you explain what all of that really does mean, Greg? Also, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for having me on. Really, I mean, nothing's set in stone at all. He's had the surgery. We're talking about 10, 12 weeks away before he's back, but they'll probably put him on the PUP list for the start of training camp. You can come up the PUP list at any point. The only problem with PUP list is if you're on at the start of the regular season, then you have to miss the first 4 games. That's the only thing that's really set in stone here. If they decide there's a decent chance he might be back less than 4 weeks, they can start him on the 53 and just have him inactive. That's kind of what they did when Chris Godwin was coming back from his big surgery a couple of years ago. So again, right now, it certainly looks like he'll miss the start of the season, but I don't know that PUP list is decided at all right now in terms of him starting the year. He's got 2 months of rehab and recovery before they have to make any kind of decision about what they're doing there. So, it's a significant loss. I mean, when we were at minicamp, we saw him out there held out with a brace on his knee. That's a red flag. That's a big concern. And Todd Bowles was fairly dismissive at the time. Said it was precautionary. It'll be fine for training camp. But again, I mean, it's something that had bothered him, last year, kind of played through at the end of last year. And I think, again, we don't know exactly what he's dealing with or what changed, but seemed like the kind of thing you would try and rest and rehab and avoid surgery. And clearly there's more to it and something that needed to have some surgery. Not a huge thing. Go ahead.
Greg, what the heck happened? And who the heck is going to replace the guy for the next 4 weeks after that? I'm confused.
Yeah, I mean, who the heck? It's Charlie Heck.
Charlie Heck,
new swing tackle for the Bucs. It's been Justin School the last 3 years, who stepped in for Luke Gedeke, who stepped in for Tristan 2 years ago when he was hurt. But Justin School, the cruel thing is that Justin School went to Minnesota in part because they had an injury and they knew that Darisaw wasn't going to be ready to go at the start of the season. So he kind of had, hey, if you come here, you get to start the first few games of the season. Only got $2 million. It's not like they paid him a crazy amount of money even for a swing tackle. And had he known at the time that Wirfs was going to miss the start of the season, I'm sure he would have stayed here for the same opportunity here. But school's gone. Charlie Heck is a guy that has been in the league. He's 28 years old. Dad played for a long time in the NFL. Dad has coached in the NFL for a long time. Huge. He's 6'8", 310, just a massive human being.
Wow.
But again, it's one of those where only started 2 games last year, was with 2 teams last year. Bucs brought him in week 2 last year and signed Raekwon O'Neal instead. So didn't think that much of him then. But again, it's one of those, swing tackles are hard to sell because if you're a backup tackle and both starting tackles are set as the Bucs are, it's not as attractive a job. You want a team where they have a crappy tackle on one side or the other, and there's a real chance that someone will underperform and you can just step in and take over as a starter. So Charlie Heck is a guy that'll probably be the guy here. If they wanted to bring somebody in, they could. In talking to most of the main culprits that you would bring in for such a thing, they haven't even reached out. So I think they're going with what they have. It's one of those where, Kevin Carberry is a good offensive line coach. He has 2 months to get Charlie Heck ready with this in mind. They will be able to adjust the game plan for these first couple games without Tristan Wirfs to protect him, if you will, to make it less obvious you have a backup and not the best tackle in the NFL at left tackle. So not ideal. Obviously you want to start the year at full strength, but everything else on offense is back right now. So it's something they'll have to deal with. And if it's, these first 4 were tough with Tristan Wirfs, so they're going to be tough without him. But it's not necessarily a season-changing injury right now, as long as it's kind of the severity we think it is.
So what's good to mention there is that not only was he the guy, but he was here. Was he there at camp actually working or no?
Yeah, no, I mean, absolutely. When Wirfs was out in minicamp,
Heck was there. Okay.
Charlie Heck was working as your starting left tackle, right?
Okay, so he's not only gotten the minicamp reps, he's going to get all the training camp reps. They're going to have, like you said, an entire 2 months here to get him ready. And we've seen teams in the past who have been able to figure things out, knowing what they have going. Like, this would be a totally different conversation if it was a week or 2 before week 1. Then you're kind of scrambling. I think they have enough of a good offensive line around him to where they can make that up and kind of get him ready and just make sure he doesn't look like a mistake out there every snap. But I don't know who it was. I heard on the NFL radio, he said, listen, one offensive lineman going down doesn't ruin an offensive line. It's when you miss 1, 2, 3 guys. That's when it starts to really take its toll. But a good offensive line can cover for one missing guy for a few games. And, I think that's the case with the Bucs, especially with the guys that are going to be standing next to him. So it does speak a little bit to the Bucs being able to have time to prepare to it for it, obviously. So I don't think it's as big a deal as people want to make it seem, and I don't think it really should change how people view the offense's functionality over the first few weeks.
No, I mean, to me, again, maybe he has them go 2-2 in the first 4 instead of 3-1. It's not probably more than a 1-win changing injury right now. And again, it's not just on Charlie Heck. This is one of the things where, Ben Bredesen was fortunate enough to have Tristan Wirfs at his left pretty much all of last year. And that definitely helped him, He won't have that now. So, he has to be stronger than the guy next to him. He has to make life easier for Charlie Heck instead of having Tristan Wirfs make life easier for him. But again, Barton's going to be better in the center than he was a year ago. I think they feel like Cody Mauch continues to improve. Obviously, Luke Gedicke's okay. So you have 4 of the 5. It's something, they've been shorthanded, for decent stretches of the last 2 seasons, whether it's one or the other, they've been without. So you don't choose this. You wouldn't want this, but it's nothing insurmountable. It's nothing they can't work for the next 2 months to not only prepare for, but kind of lessen and make it less of a big deal. The Falcons, I'm sure they're excited about week 1, not having to face Tristan Wirfs. They got 2 rookies they want to throw in go right at it in week 1. It kind of helps that you're getting them in week 1. If you were getting them without Tristan Wirfs in week 16 with 2 rookies, it'd be a whole different thing. But these 2 guys have never played in the NFL. So they're going against an NFL tackle for the first time. Charlie Heck is suddenly much more experienced than the guys that are lining up next to him, even though he hasn't played that much. So I do think, again, there's some really good defenses they're going to face in the first month of the season. The Texans are nothing to scoff at in terms of Will Anderson. The Eagles, great defensive front. So it's not a great month to be without your best player, but you don't get to choose these things. They just have to deal with it.
Greg, is there, any buzz about Ben Chukwuma, I think his name is?
Yeah. I don't know that it's like start in week 1 buzz, but Ben Chukwuma is a guy we wrote about in April after the draft. Really cool story. One of the better stories. I don't get to write many player features anymore, so I was really happy I got to write him. Ben's a guy who literally had not played any football games in his life this time 2 years ago, which is amazing for an NFL player. We're used to guys, didn't pick up football till his junior year of high school or something. And, Ben came to this country at age 17, barely played any sports in the United States, was just a student in college, open tryout, walked on, made the team, had 3 years on the team before we played a snap. And again, is a really athletic, really big tackle. Didn't get drafted, but, is almost exactly what you want an undrafted rookie to be, just as a completely raw, just a block of clay to mold and try and, you don't have to make him ready in week one. Ben's probably a guy that's going to be their 8th or 9th offensive lineman if he makes the cut. They don't have a whole lot of experience depth at tackle besides Charlie Heck. So, he lines up really well as someone they can keep. They gave him, I think, the largest bonus of any undrafted rookie in the NFL this year. It's like $300,000 guaranteed, which, again, that can just be a year in the practice squad. But he kind of lines up as somebody that can help them and be on the 53. Sometimes, you have a rookie, you think about Elijah Klein last year, made the 53, barely dressed, barely played at all. He kind of lines up for that role. They're centers, and also the guy is an undrafted rookie center that also could be in that role, maybe as the 8th and 9th lineman. They didn't draft an offensive lineman this year, so it's easier for an undrafted rookie to sneak in. But Ben's a guy they're really excited about. I don't know that he can show so much to go from, I think he's played 23 games or something like that in his life. So that doesn't line up directly with, can you start in week one and play at a high level? But he's a guy that's more of a developmental tackle. He's somebody who, if things go right, sticks on the 53, is probably inactive for much of this rookie year, but can develop. In a year from now, Charlie Heck's only on 1-year deals. I mean, he could be their swing tackle a year from now.
Do the Bucs have a chance at a guy like Opeta coming back and possibly competing in camp and trying to give them an option? Maybe even Klein going in there. Are there other guys on this team that they might still give the opportunity to, just to make sure, not only kind of keep fire on Heck's ass, I'm a big fire on ass guy, but also just to kind of be, make sure we have the right guy there, the best available guy there, as opposed to just letting him be the one. Obviously, there's something to be said about letting you get as many reps as possible, but could a guy like Opeta be a guy that could possibly get in the mix here?
Opeta's a guard, not a tackle.
I know, but you never know.
Been a guard. Opeta played tackle with the Eagles. So, I mean, he would be in play. Opeta hasn't had any snaps in a year, hasn't done anything physically with the team since last year's preseason. So there's some physical things he's going to have to overcome. Didn't go at all. We don't think we saw him at all in OTAs and minicamp at all. So I don't know where he is, whether he'd be ready to start a camp. If he's physically ready, he's a guy that would be in the mix there. He's somebody who started in the NFL. Again, when they brought him in, it was with some guard tackle flexibility. He would have been a guard here, was competing with Bredesen a year ago when he got hurt. But yeah, he would be a guy they could look at in a pinch as someone that would compete. He's probably the only other guy in the roster they could bring in that actually has NFL experience to compete with Charlie Heck. Elijah Klein is another good example. I mean, they like Elijah. Barely played last year, mostly played kind of on special team snaps, if you will. But it's someone they like, is someone they're bringing along. I think if they liked Elijah Klein to be the swing tackle, they probably wouldn't have signed Charlie Heck. Mm-hmm. So I think they're yielding to experience there. It's kind of like if you lose Justin School, you'd much rather have somebody who's been in the league 7 years, has 23 starts, as opposed to going straight to a guy who's never started a game and barely has meaningful snaps. So that's not to say that Elijah Klein in the next 2 months can't win him over. I mean, if he outplays Charlie Heck, if it's preseason and he's outplaying him, and then in week 2 they say, hey, let's put Elijah out with the ones and see what he can do, they're going to do everything they can to have the best 5 out there. It's not like you have to lock in on Charlie Heck because he's the most experienced guy you have at that spot. If they don't like the way things are going, they can bring someone in too. I mean, there are veteran tackles. There are guys that have connections to guys on the staff that are unsigned right now, might be unsigned a week or 2 into camp that they can bring in, that they can look at. Right now, it sounds like they want to go in-house. And again, it's young guys like Klein, like Ben Chakuma, that if you bring in a stopgap to take a spot on the 53, it's going to push one of those guys off the 53. And if you put Ben Chakuma through waivers, you might not get him back on the practice squad. So
Donovan Smith.
I don't know if it's Donovan Smith, but again, Donovan Smith, you're like, oh, he'd be familiar. Donovan Smith hasn't played with this OC, hasn't played with his offensive line coach, hasn't played with his run game coach. I don't know who on the line besides, if Wirfs is out, I don't know that he's played with anyone in this offensive line. So it's kind of one of those where familiarity only goes so far with that.
Think?
No, I mean, it's just a little bit unnerving, and I get why fans are freaking out. Not only do you have, very green players at backup, you really haven't seen them, in pads yet. So you don't technically know what you have in those guys yet. But I think we all got to trust in Jason Light a little bit. Nobody's panicking over there, it doesn't seem like. And I don't know. I guess it'll play itself out here in the first couple of weeks of training camp and then maybe into the preseason. Poor Kyle Trask, honestly.
Yeah.
Who's going to be blocking for that guy?
Yeah.
I mean, he'll have a second line like anything else. It's if anything, you double rep Charlie to get him ready. Probably. I mean, it's not a huge thing. I don't think Kyle Trask has been limited because he's had a great backup left tackle blocking for him in the preseason for 4 years. So it's something he can overcome.
Greg, in the past, we've seen other teams overcome their best offensive linemen not playing games. We played against teams that have had 2 guys off and we still haven't been able to get to the quarterback. I'm curious what the record has been when Tristan Wirfs hasn't played. Of course, he hasn't missed really long extended periods of time since we've drafted him, but he has had some sporadic missed games, missed quarters, missed halves, and moments where, we think we're going to be screwed, and somehow we've overcome. Obviously, Skule last year proved ridiculously worthy of being on this team on both sides after he got his ass whooped in the first half against the Lions. But after that, he was pretty solid. So I'm curious how the Bucs have fared when Tristan hasn't played since he's become
I'm
a
not
Buc.
sure. He's only missed 5 games in 5 years. I know that. So it's one of those where this isn't a huge body of work to pull from. I think it's 4 games in 23 and 1 game in 24. He went whole Super Bowl year. I don't think he missed a snap. I mean, he had real durability those first couple of years, and it's hard to sustain that for anybody, period. But like I said, it's only 5 games. Last year they had Gedeke, misses a whole month with a concussion. So they've won games without him. I think the Niners game is where he got hurt last year. Obviously, that's not a game they won. Again, I think it's a little bit different when you're throwing a guy in the second quarter and he hasn't taken any reps, he hasn't prepared, as opposed to now where whoever you have as the starting left tackle, in theory, he should have gotten all the reps that you wanted him to get for any meaningful time before this. Not to say they can't make a change, but it's as tough as it is to get this news in July, it's much better than getting it in August or September.
Yeah, there's also something to be said about a guy like Baker being back there as opposed to a guy like Tom Brady, who's just a sitting duck. And I think Baker kind of helps some of that. And that's a great point you made about Luke. We didn't have Luke for a very good chunk of change last year, and we seemed to fare pretty damn well, aside from that first half of that Lions game. And again, you have the fact that you have 2 good tackles makes it to where you just have to adjust that offense. And so it'd be curious to see how they make that adjustment and how they kind of maybe make that passing game a little quicker. They have so much talent on offense that I just can't worry too much about this, given that they have so much time to prepare. Sorry.
Yeah,
Steve.
I mean, and this is an offense where they get rid of the ball pretty quick to begin with.
Yep.
So again, maybe it's having a tight end on that side to chip a little, help him out a little bit more. Maybe they go 2 tight ends, less 3 receivers. Again, I think this offense is going to use the deep ball a decent amount more than last year's did. It wasn't a huge factor in their offense last year. I don't know that they're going to break that out in week 1. I don't think you're going to call a play that has Baker sit back there long enough for McMillan or Ibuka or somebody to get 40 yards downfield. This is probably a better week for get rid of the ball quickly, dink and dunk down the field, lessen the chance that Mayfield feels compelled to sit back there for a while. Atlanta, people are excited because Atlanta put their first 2 draft picks into defensive ends and pass rushers, and that's good for them. It's something they need to do. They're still one of the 3 worst pass rush teams in the NFL last year in terms of sacks. It's one of those where they've got to get better, and I don't know if they'll do that in week 1, no matter who the tackle is they're facing.
Yeah.
No, I think they rally around the loss of Tristan. I think this team thrives with that underdog mentality, and I don't mind that nationally people are doubting us. And now that we lost Tristan, I see it even more, and people are making their predictions and picking Carolina to win division and Atlanta to win the division. I think that gets back to the guys in the locker room a little bit. And I feel like we play better when we have that chip on our shoulder. Speaking of doubters, you reading tea leaves out there in regards to, what they're saying about Josh Grizzard? Obviously, we've been limited in regards to seeing what he can potentially bring to the table. But what are you hearing about Josh?
No, I think nationally, when you point to question marks and uncertainties on this Bucs team, they're not a lot because so much is back on both sides of the ball. So I think when you point to things that are causes for doubt or uncertainty, question marks, I think he's one of them just because he's never called plays before.
Yep.
We would have said the same thing about Liam Cohen 2 years ago, or 1 year ago. We would have said thing about Dave Canales. So obviously Todd Bowles has done a really good job at identifying guys who don't have experience as coordinators or much experience and letting them come in and grow and learn. Josh Grisard is 5 years younger than Liam Cohen, who was younger than Dave Canales was. So, I mean, he's going younger and younger, less and less experience, but he's trusting. I mean, again, just like Bruce Arians kind of gave Todd Bowles a lot of autonomy to run the defense, he's doing that with these guys on offense. He's going to help them. He's going to go up against them every day in practice and get them ready so that when they get to week one, they're used to having a lot of wild stuff thrown at them every day. But again, we don't know how naturally that'll come to him. Josh is a really smart guy. This guy went to Yale and coached at Duke for 4 years and learned from multiple coaches with the Dolphins, learned from Liam Cohen last year. Again, there were very few things the Bucs did better than move the chains on third downs last year. And that's what Josh Grisard did. Mm-hmm. So I think it's just a matter of taking that and expanding that. You know, the benefit of promoting him is that you have this continuity where you have an entire offense is back. There's this crazy stat where more than 100% of their yards from last year is back because the only guy they lost is I'm blanking now, is the cornerback that lost a yard on a fake punt last year. So they have 100.03% of their offensive yards back from last season. It's ridiculous, but it gives you continuity, and everyone in that room knows who Josh Grisard is. I mean, Abuka doesn't, and right. There's a couple newcomers, but everybody that was in the room last year right now is pretty much there. Justin School's gone. Bob Hainsey's gone. Everybody else is back. So that makes it easier. It's kind of like it's almost cheating a little bit because you can take what Liam Cohen did and just try and make it better. You know, you don't have to bring in a whole new book and a whole new terminology. It's just, hey, this is what worked. There's going to be some Miami that he's going to throw in. There's going to be more misdirection and pre-snap motion, bells and whistles beforehand. There's probably going to be more deep balls that go into it. But otherwise, I mean, you get to start with probably 80% of the same offense, and it was a top 5 offense, and all the right pieces are back. In theory, they should be healthier. You had a month without Mike Evans. You had 10 games without Chris Godwin. It's all kind of making it easier for him. You know, I think if you look at the 2 coordinators they had, you know, when Dave Canales came in, they had the worst run game in the NFL. And it's like people were excited because they went from like 22nd to 19th in total offense. And then, you know, Liam Cohen comes in and it's still the worst run game in the NFL. You know who your quarterback's going to be, but otherwise there's still a lot of things you can improve on. Josh Grisard gets a top 5 offense with most everybody back. So it's a nice position to be in to get your first chances of play calling in the NFL with a ready-made cast that's had, you know, ridiculous success getting 30 points a game the previous year. You want to try and repeat it, it's going to be hard for him to improve on what they did last year. Yeah. But if all they do is sustain it, if all they do is, again, Mayfield got 40 touchdowns and 4,500 yards. If he gets 35 touchdowns and 4,000 yards and the run game improves, it's all good. No one's going to be like, oh, what a step back, how terrible. They're still going to be scoring 28, 30 points a game. And if you do that with a first-year coordinator, that's something you can deal with. That's something you can take.
You know, what's funny about the whole thing is you mentioned that they're actually younger every year that we've progressed from one guy to the next.
Right.
But they actually look older as well, which is really odd to me. But the offense as a unit has kind of undergone this seemingly like maturation process from one guy to the next because they're kind of just like building blocks on top of it. And usually when you bring in an OC, that's kind of the process anyways. They're kind of building on this. And after that, the next year, we're going to now use that as the foundation. We're going to put more on top of that. And so it's still happened progressively because they've just been able to find the guys that fit within the system and kind of carry it on. So I just see that, you know, Grisard being able to do the same thing. And not only that, he has the benefit of now being able to lean on a heavy run game to start the season if they really want to and kind of take away the magnification of that left tackle being gone. And he has a guy like Tez coming in that's now a change of pace and in a misdirection guy. Ibuka has some misdirection to him. You got Bucky, who's a misdirection running back. Like, you have all of these things that you can use to your advantage to play against leverage of the defense, who's probably going to do their best to expose that left tackle. But again, last year we had no right tackle for a good, you know, chunk of the season, and we made it work. We also had games where we didn't have Mike Evans and Chris Godwin together, and we made it work. So you just have to trust that these guys know what to do. They'll elevate themselves, and nobody on this team shows the ability to elevate the guys around him more than Baker Mayfield. And so I think this, it all just feels like it's not a big deal. It's okay. And again, so many other teams do this. It'll just be interesting to see how Grizzard does it. But I really think his experience in Miami is going to really help this run game because they had a 3-headed running back monster down there. They ran the ball, anytime they wanted to, and it'll be a different type of run game that I think he's going to be able to install on top of what we already have.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think part of the doubt and part of the fear factor of this news is that it's happening 2 weeks before camp. So there's no one to really step forward and say, we're going to be fine. Bowles hasn't said anything. Light hasn't said anything. We're going to get to training camp, and Baker's going to talk about the confidence he has in Charlie Heck. And he's going to talk about the line as a whole and how much better they are and how ready they'll be, 8 weeks from then, to handle that. The rest of the line is going to talk about, we have barely met Charlie Heck as a media market. We don't know him. People don't know what he sounds like. So right now it's all doubt and uncertainty. But I think with each passing week, if he does the way they want him to, I think this will work out fine.
Oh,
that makes sense.
Are you getting an important? Are we going to break news right now, Greg? Is that what's going on?
It's not breaking news. I'm sorry.
I was going to ask. With tomorrow's a big day in the Buccaneers world, Greg.
Huge day.
I don't know if you've heard, but apparently there's another uniform being added to the mix this season in honor of the 50th year celebration. Have you seen the jerseys, Greg? And have you seen the pants?
I have not. I have a pretty good idea what they look like, but I have not. But no, it's a cool thing. I'm going to go over to the team store at 10 a.m. tomorrow morning. Mike Allstott's going to be there.
So are you going to have a booth before Mike Allstott or after? I know they got all these special guests. I'm assuming they're giving you one of those special, booths as well.
Oh, I don't think I'll get one, but it's fine. Allstott's there. Batman Wood's going to be there. Grammatica is going to be there in the afternoon. They got a whole rotation of legends coming through. Allstott will be neat to get his take on things.
Greg, are you a creamsicle guy?
I'm not really. Again, I've covered the team for 13 years. Not really a fan. I like the look of it. My son has an orange Godwin that looks sharp. Back before the retros were coming back at all, like my youngest has a 22 Doug Martin that was kind of the original 09 to 12 throwbacks that they had for a while there. So my kids wear orange around the house. They're both orange, not white with orange. This is probably going to be a white jersey with the orange tomorrow. I don't know. I'm not trying to break color.
There it is. Breaking news. Tweet it out. Clip it. Greg Auman leaked it right here.
No, my kids like the creamsicle. You guys certainly like creamsicle. You have these people online that are like, oh,
I do. Sammer hates them.
I hate them, Greg. I want nothing to do with anything from that era. It was a terrible era. They look like something you'd wear to an Easter parade. It's not a menacing orange color like the Clemson orange. It's got some, vibrance to it. The Tennessee Volunteers got a pretty strong orange. We got a pastel paint your Easter egg orange color. All right. This is something you wear to a wedding when you're going through the dresses for your bridesmaids. This is not a menacing orange. So therefore, I don't like it. And we fucking lost in them constantly, and we still lose in them constantly. It's time they go away. But I will say, if I had to choose between the two looks, the white creamsicle, the away or / home look, was the better of the look, obviously. But yeah, it's, I get it. I get the whole, feelings for the old people, and everyone wants to act like they love the retro shit. You guys didn't fucking see how bad this team was when they wore those things. They are horrible. They are hideous, and I don't like them. I don't like them, Greg, and I don't like that it's tomorrow.
You can't forget where you came from, all right? And
you can.
You need the reminder. Reminder.
No, we've been reminded plenty. The last 2 seasons, okay? That's enough reminder.
What are you talking about? This fan base is
spoiled. I covered the Bucs in white and orange. My first time I covered a Bucs game was in '94. I was at Florida and came down to write Eric Rett, his first game against Marshall Faulk and Colts in '94. So I covered them. I don't think I covered any of the throwback games when they had it 09 to 12. They wore them in '79, and they really weren't that bad in '79.
That's true.
One out of how many seasons there, Greg? Come on.
Oh, there's not much else to hang your head on. I'm just
Greg Schiano won 10 games. Did you know that?
I think so.
We definitely wanted him gone pretty soon thereafter, though. So, yeah. I don't know, man.
I would just let some people be excited and know that it's not going to be a
I'm going tomorrow just to knock jerseys out of people's hands. That's what I'm going for.
Greg, I realize you're not a fan. You're not a fan, but have you have a Bucs jersey in your closet? Come on.
I don't know. I mean, if you're like a traditional tried and true journalist, you're not wearing team colors.
Wait,
like that.
Where did you grow up?
I'm from Philadelphia originally. I don't own an Eagles jersey either, but I'm from Philadelphia originally.
All right, so you're the guy that wears the NFL cap, right? At the game.
I'm not Rob Loeing it. No, I have baseball jersey, but I don't own any NFL jerseys. My kids have a lot, so I like vicariously live through them.
Greg, we've had
from New Orleans.
We've had some controversy on this show recently, okay, and it surrounds candy. All right, you look like a guy who enjoys a family night out at the theater. I got to ask you, Greg, because I know you're going to agree with me. How much do you love a Junior Mint?
Oh, Junior Mint's not bad. No, Junior Mint. My wife likes Junior Mint. If I'm buying like dollar store candy to sneak into a movie, it's probably more likely Reese's Pieces than Junior Mint for the sheer volume. But I like Junior Mint.
Better than popcorn, right?
I'm not a huge popcorn guy. And
come on.
Popcorn is like $18 right now. Not to be that guy, but
have you never snuck in your own popcorn?
No, I've never snuck in that. That's a little more challenging. I don't know how bad your clothes are.
Stank brings a microwave in there, and that's really what's going down with the noise. Like, what's happened? What is all that back there? And Stank's just
I always bring a stroller without a baby. You know, they're not going to check to see if you have a baby, and you can really sneak a lot of stuff in if you do that.
And now there's all these themed popcorn baskets. Like we went to Superman the other night, and like Superman, there's like a newspaper rack that with popcorn that comes out of it.
Yeah,
obviously Dune had a worm popcorn bucket there, so yeah.
I have the weirdest collection of these buckets because of my kids.
Oh, cool.
We buy the stupid collector bucket and cup every time we go to a movie, and I have so many of these. And some of them, like, I don't even know how the popcorn doesn't even come out of them. They get the popcorn in it, but there's no way to get the popcorn out of it. It's just popcorn in general is just terrible, you know. But yeah, Junior Mint's amazing theater snack. If you were to rank them, Greg, where's Junior Mint's in the candy scenario as you're watching a movie? It's very important here.
Like I said, Reese's Pieces is kind of my go-to movie candy if I'm getting one.
Hell of a candy. Hell of a first-round pick.
Hold on, is it the candy or is it the cups?
Cups or pieces?
Pieces, like just a little.
Oh, the M&M thing.
Oh, the M&M looking things.
Yeah, no, like a Reese's cup is a lot to unwrap in a theater. It's too much labor for me that way. You might melt them.
Bro, don't send him Hershey Kisses, bro. Hershey Kisses are a lot of work too.
Taking all that little foil out there.
Individually wrapped.
Yeah, they're terrible after you go to the nail salon too, man. It's just not the candy you want after a nice relaxing Sunday, you know?
What else, guys?
Greg, a lot of controversy about the Todd Bowles extension. Fans, were, I don't know, up in arms for some reason about Todd with the amount of success he's had here, the continuity he brings. What's your take on all the controversy, with the extension?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's some people that just don't like Todd Bowles, and he's not going to really change that. I mean, he's been the head coach for 3 years. He's won 3 division titles. They won more games every year. They haven't had the postseason success that he'd like to have, or most fans would like to have. That's absolutely true. But I just think it's one of those where you had 46 years, as a franchise before Todd Bowles was your head coach. You never won back-to-back division titles, and now you got 4 in a row, maybe 5 coming. And there's people that want change. So I just think it's one of those where it's a little bit like when Dungy had sustained success but didn't have greatness, and because Bucs got rid of Dungy and won a Super Bowl the next year, I think there's this presumption that if they just go get an offensive coach, boom, the next year will be a championship. The people in the building like Todd Bowles a lot. To talk to players, they like the guy. So as much as him getting an extension just means he has years guaranteed. Guys get extensions and get fired all the time. So if you're excited about the chance for Todd Bowles to get fired, there's a world where if they're not a good team this year, he gets fired. I don't buy into this business where people are like, oh, if they win a division title and they win one playoff game or next, they're going to fire Todd Bowles. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me. If you give a guy an extension based on what he's done and he continues to have that level of success, it's a weird thing to then fire him. So I don't think he's in any danger of losing his job this year. He just got an extension. He's
Yeah,
his career record, if you include the Jets, is still unimpressive as a head coach, but he's won 3 straight division titles. And you can say the NFC South has been a crappy division, absolutely, but he's won it every year he's had the chance.
Yeah, but fire him for who? Fire him for who? I mean, the guy who potentially.
Yeah, I mean, no. If you think, again, you got Baker Mayfield, you got exciting pieces here.
Right.
If they wanted to fire a coach, I think it would be a job that people would be excited about.
No, I get that, but yeah. The guy who potentially could have took his job just left, and took a job in Jacksonville now, and so it seems like this locker room is great, and the continuity is a big part of that. And obviously, nobody gives Todd credit for that. And if you're talking about firing him for an offensive coach, you just said we have a top 5 offense. So it's not the offense that needs the help; it's the defense, and he's the guy.
Right, and I think honestly, I mean, this defense should be improved this year. I don't know if they're going to be a top 5 defense by any means, but if they're healthy in a way they weren't last year, if Kancey is healthy, if Dennis is healthy, if Dean is healthy, if Winfield is healthy, they were missing a lot of key parts last year. And as bad as they were, it was rare that they had everybody out there and they were still bad. I just think, they need injuries to work in their favor this year. And if you go back to, when they've been healthy, they've had a pretty good defense. It's just they haven't been healthy recently. So I think if they get that front they want, that gets the pressure they want, and if Vea and Kancey and Diaby and Reddick are all playing together, it should be a good defense. It should be one that you want your coach to be fired less about.
The thing, too, is I want to say maybe since 2021, so the youngest his defense has been, and he hasn't really had a very healthy defense since that year to where he's been able to really do what he wants to do. And so many people are like, they so quickly forget that he held the Chiefs to fucking 3 field goals in the Super Bowl. That's the same Todd Bowles, guys. It's the same Todd Bowles. Yeah, he had a couple of other guys on the team, but they were an older. Sue wasn't, an all-pro. JPP wasn't an all-pro guy, but his defense worked with the right pieces, and they got lucky with health, and they got lucky with some depth in that, as well. But you saw what happened, the year they had the Richard Sherman scenario playing out, and like all that stuff. Like people just want to pretend that didn't happen, and I think some of this, like Stank said earlier, fans are just unrealistically spoiled. Go back to the Greg Schiano, Lovie Smith years, the Raheem Morris years. We would have fucking cut our arms off to win 4 straight division titles, to be competitive week in and week out. And not only that, last year, people failed to really take notice of this. With all of the injuries, the Bucs were in every single game. They were competitive in every single game when you could easily say we had no business being in some of these games. The Chiefs game, no business being in that game. We go to overtime. Maybe we go for 2. We win that game before overtime. So
they couldn't stop us. We couldn't stop them. So it was one of those scenarios.
It just always seems to go back to this spoiled. And I think just people have this premeditated, notion of what they think guys are. And that's just, there's nothing those guys can do most of the time to change that fact. I think short of winning a Super Bowl, the non-Todd lovers are never going to love Todd. And even then, we had the guys who said John Gruden won with Tony's team. Okay, man. I mean, sure, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I think part of it, too, is that they won a Super Bowl with Bruce Arians. And I think people like Bruce Arians. I think they liked how honest he was, how blunt and open. I worked at The Athletic where I could print expletives in every story, and he let me do that. And Todd's not that guy. Again, I think off camera, he's probably very much closer to who Bruce is. But in terms of dealing with the public, and again, player doesn't do a good job, he's not throwing that guy under the bus, and he's not going to be very specific in his criticisms. But I think the players like that. I think that's something where he shields them from his own public wrath, and some people don't like that. It doesn't mean he's not chewing them out in the hallway or in the meeting rooms. He just doesn't do it on the 6:30 news. So it's one of those where I think he knows that he loses people by doing that, but his goal isn't to win over the popular vote. His goal is to win games and make sure he has his locker room. And I think he has that. I mean, again, I think his defense can be much better than it was. I mean, for the Bucs to be in whatever it is, year 6 in his system and still be able to say their communication issues is problematic. Now, part of it's that it's not the same combination or the ideal combination to have out there, but takeaways. I mean, takeaways are a huge part of his formula. So for them to be a team that had a negative turnover margin, that had 7 interceptions for an entire season, is not ideal. It's not how you expected to get to a division title. They kind of overcame that, but they want to have 20 interceptions. They want to have, 30 takeaways in a season. And I think they'll be closer to that this year. Not necessarily because he's a better coach, but just because they won't be dealing with quite the shorthandedness they were for a big part of last season.
Younger players, guys who love to get hands on balls. Like, that's really what I'm hearing from you, Greg. The Bucs, to be a better defense, just need more hands on balls.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those. I mean, again, Dean. I mean, whether it's Dean and McCollum or whether it's Morrison and McCollum and Dean and Morrison, I mean, they're going to have a couple different options. They don't have to trot the same two corners out on the outside every play. I think if the front is more active, if they're getting pressure with 4 where they don't have to bail and blitz every 3rd down or 2 times every 5 downs or whatever it is they blitz now, just the middle of the field. I mean, if you think about how good they looked when they beat Detroit with Gervasio Dennis at linebacker.
Yes.
And they never looked good again at linebacker the rest of the year. And I think because Levante was carrying somebody, it wasn't the same deal for Levante even. A big part of their confidence this season is having a healthy Gervasio Dennis and having him next to David. Smart, athletic, quick, making plays. There's not a lot of depth behind him. If he gets hurt again, I think he'd probably feel better about Anthony Walker. But yeah, I mean, some of their success this year is going to hinge on having the right people stay healthy.
Yeah, I mean, I think what we've been seeing from Todd kind of flies in the face of what he was known for originally. I mean, he ran more press in Arizona. He liked his corners to play up, and we haven't been seeing a lot of that. And clearly, it's because he didn't trust the guys, the depth and the guys that he was putting out there to be so passive and give up so many easy plays underneath in the passing game. Just to me shows that he didn't have the horses.
Yeah. And I think the other thing is that when he is down even one player, if he's down a safety, if he's down a corner, I think his aggressiveness and his confidence to do more things and challenge the players on the field mentally, I don't think he's the same coach. I think when he gets shorthanded, he gets simpler. And that's not always a recipe for defensive success. So I think every coach in the league has to deal with this. It's not like he's the only guy that had injuries last year at all. But I think he's so much more able to take advantage of his strengths when he has the guys out there that he all has confidence in.
Right.
Especially in the secondary. I think you can be shorthanded at outside linebacker. You can be down a linebacker. I just think those 5 in the back, if he has the 5 he wants and the interchangeability he wants and all those kind of things, it just seems so often last year. Again, Winfield would go down. Someone else would go down. He'd be down a nickel or something. And it just seemed like his defensive mind and playbook was a third of what it could have been once that happened.
I think that speaks
I'm intrigued to see what he can do if he's healthy. I
think it speaks to some of that communication, but so many players have told us that the defense is really, it's complex, and it's not something, that's why you don't see them signing corners off the free agency market when guys get injured in the middle of the season, because they'd rather rely on guys that at least know the system and don't have that learning, curve that they have to go through. But a lot of it too is Todd Bowles blitzes exotically to stop the run. He doesn't necessarily blitz exotically to stop the pass. He wants to get you to 3rd and long, and that's when he's hoping a 4-man rush or maybe a 5-man rush really does its job. Last year, he had to throw as many bodies as possible, and what does that do? You're shorthanded on the back end. You don't have a middle linebacker who can cover. You have Levante David out there trying to be 3 guys at once. No Antoine Winfield Jr., who's an all-pro, a Pro Bowler. Like that takes its toll. And people don't want to admit that, but it takes its toll. And I think this year with Elijah and Reddick and Walker being added to the mix, you're going to have the ability to possibly just let those guys do their thing and now sit back and put guys into coverage. And that's when the havoc starts to really happen. We saw it with the Warren Sapp years. Those front 4 created so much nonsense in the backfield that guys were making bad decisions, throwing early, throwing late. That's when the magic really starts to happen. And that's when defenses look better. And that's when those blitzes and all those turnovers that you're talking about, Greg, really start to come to fruition.
That's where they can take a step forward this year. I mean, their offense, they're going to do well just to sustain who they were offensively last year. But defensively, you can get literally twice as many turnovers as they had. You can be a touchdown better on defense aside from Reddick, there's not a huge free agent addition. I mean, I think you'll see Jake Parrish as the nickel, and that'll be an upgrade. A healthy Winfield will be a huge upgrade over what the Bucs had. Antoine Winfield really wasn't himself last year. I mean, missed some time, and then when he was back, it didn't feel like he was back. You didn't confuse 2024 Winfield with the guy they had out there the year before. So
not only that, Greg, I felt like, he's kind of the captain of the defense outside of Levante, and there's so much turmoil at every other position, including the safety positions right next to him. The rotation, at corner. I feel like he's back there trying to make sure everybody's where they were supposed to be and not being able to play his game.
Yeah, and honestly, I mean, Tyke Smith. People were really excited about Jordan Whitehead coming back. I don't think that's what they wanted it to be last year, and I think Whitehead is a hitter and a tackler. I don't know. I think Tyke Smith. If you think about Todd bringing in Tyke here, because he really liked how smart he was and how well he could read things and get other people on the right page. Now you have two really smart safeties back there to direct things, to create looks and misdirection before the snap. There's a lot of versatility. I don't know how quickly Jacob Parrish is going to get to where he's part of that, and they can move those three between the three spots. But I think just, again, people don't know what Tyke Smith has done because he's really had about a half a season here. But he's somebody they're really excited in. It's like if you think about this offseason and the draft and free agency and how little, if nothing, they did at linebacker and at safety, okay? That speaks to how confident they are in Voss Dennis and Tyke Smith. Because it's you don't neglect a position unless you feel really good about what you have. And that's hard to do when you have a second-year guy or a guy who's really only been injured for 2 years. But that's how much they feel confident about what Servasia Dennis can do in the middle and what Tyke Smith can do at safety. And it's a gamble. These guys are young. They're untested. They'll probably be better in December than they are in September. But it's two guys they really think will be a big part of why they're a better defense.
I'm a little excited. I mean, think about this offense that has a defense back there to support them, that can put the offense in, better position, better field position, all those types of things that we didn't have the, benefit of, over the last 2 seasons necessarily. So if we field a defense that's 25% better than we had last year, we should see, much more balance on this, with the team.
Like short fields, okay? Like one of the reasons that Baker threw for 4,500 yards and they had such a huge offensive season is that they started pretty much every drive inside their 30. Yes. It's not like they had great returns. It's not like they had a ton of turnovers where they're getting the ball. I can count on a single hand the interceptions and the fumbles I think of that set up short fields. Levante had the one late against the Falcons, okay? Yep. There just weren't a lot of those. And I'll have to go back and do the math on it. But I mean, I would wager 80% of their scoring drives started inside their own 30. And that's remarkable because you normally get more help from your defense. You get short fields. You get points from your defense, okay? And that's something they can make a huge improvement in. If all it is if it's one turnover a game, okay, that's either points on the board or a short field, anything besides a kickoff or a punt inside the 20 that sets this up where it's 4 first downs before you get to a touchdown. I think that'll help. It might mean less yards for the offense, but it's a good thing if that's the case. You'll take the points however you get them.
Yeah, I think the point about that too is this defense, I expect them to be better. And in expecting them to be better, this should help Grizzard maybe get going a little bit if he's kind of slow at, getting his play calling feet underneath him. Also, the fact that you won't have Tristan Wirfs for however number of games to start the season. If you can lean on that defense and not have to really force things, then you can, confidently punt the ball away knowing maybe you'll get a turnover or get a ball back after 3 plays. That's massive for an offense where you don't have to press. I think that's really where the Bucs did get in some trouble last year as an offense is when they were put in a position where they did have to press. As good as they were, any offense that's in that scenario still kind of makes mistakes or it gets themselves in a scenario that doesn't work out with penalties and things of that nature. So having a defense that they can lean on just to kind of get things rolling for Grizzard if he doesn't hit the ground running as smoothly as you'd expect, that would be miles different than what we've seen over the last couple of seasons now at this point. So that'd be a huge improvement.
Yeah, if I'm Todd Bowles, I play that card absolutely in August and in July. And I say, hey, this is a team that used to win games with their defense, and this offense, was the strength of this team last year. But again, like you said, they're down their left tackle. They're down their most talented player. They have a brand new offensive coordinator. Make life easier for him. Win games with your defense. And if you can do it in September when the offense is shorthanded, you can do it in November and December. You know, to have a game where, again, you think about when they've beaten Philadelphia, okay, they've done it by taking care of Jalen Hurts in a way that very few teams have. You know, again, Houston was a game. I mean, you think about Houston, they almost beat Houston. That was a game where they gave up a touchdown late and the defense had a chance to close it out and didn't. So these are all things that if the defense wants to set up this season and show that they're a different unit and an improved unit and a unit that can win games for the Bucs, the first month will give them a chance to show that.
Before I ask one last question, Greg, I'm going to go to our lovely intern Vixen in the intern closet. I think we have some super chats, some super memberships, a bunch of shit going on behind the scenes while Greg's telling us or showing off his big brain. Sorry.
Yes, we sure do. Joe Bucks fan with the $5 super chat coming in. Thank you so much. And then Mudfish Matt with the 5 gifted subs. Welcome in and thank you so much. Also, Greg, we did have a question from a few people. They were wondering about Morrison and his contract and if you know anything about that.
Yeah, sure. I actually traded text with his agent today just to make sure there's no like surprising progress or anything. It's not anything exclusive to Benjamin Morrison. I think 30 out of 32 second round picks are still unsigned. Chargers started camp and their second round pick isn't there. The deal is that they're trying to get, the agents want to get second round picks to have fully guaranteed contracts. And the first 2 picks of the second round signed and got fully guaranteed contracts. So basically, no agent wants to be the guy that lets his player sign for less than a fully guaranteed deal. So they're all waiting. It's going to take somebody kind of breaking the dam and saying, okay, I'm okay. Again, it's like what they're used to having is 3 years fully guaranteed and a share of the 4th season. Okay. And they're just trying to get, the CBA doesn't give them a lot of places where they can get a leg up and get a win against the ownership, but they're trying to get that. So all these agents, nobody wants to break ranks. They all want to wait and hold out until they get, again, it's the 4th year of a rookie contract. So we're talking about 2028 compensation for somebody who's probably going to be on the roster anyway. If your second round pick gets cut before his rookie deal, you have larger issues than whether you guaranteed his 4th year or not. But that's all it is right now there's this stalemate. Nobody wants to sign a contract that doesn't have a full guarantee if you're a second round pick. Benjamin Morrison wasn't that high in the second round. There's going to be picks higher than him that give in eventually here and say, we're going to take 3.6 years guaranteed. And everybody's going to get into camp. It's just right now, it's this battle they've staged where they're trying to make some progress. So next year's second round picks can know going in, they've got a fully guaranteed contract. Maybe you try and get some 3rd rounders next year or something like that. So it's nothing personal about Ben. He's been there. He's been a full participant in all the offseason workouts. He's done everything he's supposed to do. He's just kind of fallen in line with the second rounders and trying to get fully guaranteed contract for this rookie deal.
Greg, who's the dumbass GM who started this shit?
I think last year, there's this sliding scale where it's like the first pick of the second round gets 100% guaranteed, and then the next guy gets 95% guaranteed. And by the end of the second round, there's not much guaranteed at all. And they're just trying to get a little bit more. They're not getting more money at all. They're just getting more money guaranteed.
Yeah.
Again, it's silly as a second round pick to be guarding against, hey, what if I don't make it through my rookie contract? But there are going to be guys in this class that do not make it through their rookie contract, and they're going to get, $1.3 million in 2028, even though they got cut in 2026, that kind of thing.
I get it. I get it.
I get it too. The agents probably get a percentage of guaranteed money.
Sure.
That's what it is. The players aren't going to get any more money. The agents.
Stank, think about this. You go to the movie theater. Are you going to buy a box of Junior Mints not knowing you're guaranteed to have all the Junior Mints in the box? No, you're not. You're signing a fully guaranteed Junior Mints box. That's what I want going into Jurassic Park, okay? I want the full box. I don't want to eat 3.6% of the box. Why not?
I'm not going to eat chocolate. I'm not going to eat
if anyone, you need toothpaste. And I know you're not going to brush, so we got to find other creative ways. Just like, your dog that won't brush his teeth, or you got a 2-year-old that still doesn't like brushing his teeth. You got to trick him, right, Greg? You got to trick him. You have dog. I think you have a dog. He was on our show once. Yeah, so you know how it works. You got to trick them with medicine. Same thing here, Stank. You need Junior Mints because people like you don't brush your teeth.
I'll just stand in the bathroom with the water on and pretend I'm brushing my teeth,
God.
like I did my entire youth. So
just a box of Junior Mints twice a day, and you'll be fine.
Yeah, you'll be fine. By the way, Vixen killed her one appearance today, which is very rare for our interns, Greg. We don't have very good interns. They're terrible, actually. But she also stole my question, so she kind of doubled up, which is pretty wild. But before we end the show, Greg, got to let you tell people where they can get more of Greg's massive fucking brain and just, all the things that you do, because I know you're part of a bunch of stuff now.
Yeah, everything I write is at foxsports.com. You can read stuff there. I'm on Twitter at my name, Greg Auman. I guess I'm on Blue Sky. I haven't posted there in weeks. I'll be on the Insiders this fall and be on. I'm taking Rick Stroud's spot on the Insiders with Scott Reynolds and Pat Donovan on game days this fall. So excited about that, and that's really about the gist of it. Nothing else new besides that.
Sweet. Stank, any closing remarks for you?
No, I can't wait to give you a hug when I see you at camp or something. I don't know, something weird. Never know.
I would like to add really quick for all of y'all that want to go back and rewatch the episode. If you do go to loosecannonslive.com, you will be able to click on Greg's face on there and have access to all of his socials too, where you can keep up with Bucs and everything else NFC South related.
Look at that. Crushed it. I mean, what? That's going on right now, Stan. That was amazing. That's great.
I don't know what you ate for dinner, but eat that again before every show.
Yeah.
Got it.
Doing a great job. And yeah, Greg, we have a professional website now where we can click on your beautiful face and all these things happen.
Is it the face of the thumbnail from the last time he was on?
We could do that. Should we do that?
I think
Greg, we need your permission.
Can.
We need your permission to use that cartoon version of you.
That's fine. Absolutely. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
He needs to give permission to
it.
Awesome. All right, Greg, thank you so much for joining us. Make sure you guys hit that like button if you haven't already. And of course, smash the subscribe button if you are new. Leave us a comment. Let Greg know how amazing he is. And of course, check out loosecannonslive.com for not only this episode, but every episode before this. You can listen to it there or you can watch it. And of course, check out the membership tab to join our amazing free, and also there's a paid version of it, Bucs community Discord, where a ton of nonsense happens. You want to join the Cannon Cartel if you can, because we will be announcing the 2025 fantasy football scenario, and you have to be a Cannon Cartel member in order to get in on those leagues. So that'll be really fun, and we'll have some cool stuff attached to all that. Stank, go brush your teeth. Greg, have a great night, and go Bucs.
It's kickoff, set it off. Go to Vegas, bet it all. Put it on the Bucs win, whoever they gon' play gon' fall. Don't say I ain't told y'all. Loose cannons gon' fold y'all. Yeah, the Heat be 9-3, but it gets real cold in the fall. That's when the